Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Mark McNulty, and I'm president of Action Coach Bluegrass in Southern Indiana. Today, I have Danny Knott, president of Elevator Solutions, as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking with Danny about his business, his journey to business ownership, challenges, some best practices, and share a little peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. Now, if this is your first time listening to us, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. So Danny, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Elevator Solutions. How did you become a business owner?
I can say I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I really never knew exactly what that was going to be. And I never thought it'd be elevators, but I found myself in the elevator trade in the mid 2000s. Kind of worked with a couple different companies and learned the ins and outs. And then in 2016, decided to go out on my own. And here we are today.
Okay, so tell us about the business. What are your primary services? Who do you serve?
Our target customers, property managers, anybody that manages properties, to service their elevators, repairs if needed, service calls, modernizations is a lot we do, like older elevators, go in and rewire them, new controls. That's kind of one of our best parts of the business. And we also do some new installations as well, some smaller new installs.
Are you the sole owner, founder, or do you have other owners?
I have one minority shareholder, but I'm the majority stake owner of the corporation.
Okay. Tell us about your team.
My current team, I've got a lot of good guys. A lot of them have been with me since day one. A couple of them I've worked with in the past that were really good people. And I think what I've learned over the last couple years is the culture and people with the right mindset to fit the culture means so much. I always heard people say that in books and business, and I kind of knew what it meant, but never really knew what it meant, but I really experienced it. So I've got a really good group of guys that work together well and to the common goal.
So how do you split your time between different roles in the business, kind of working in versus on?
Early on, I was heavily in, of course. It was me and one other guy coming up on 8 years this year. So I'm not as much in the field as what I used to be. Most of my today is managing the larger projects, the timelines of project managing on the bigger projects and working on the business, on that end of it. And that's where I really kind of find myself enjoying it these days, less technical and more working on the business.
Okay, great. Let's talk about your business a little bit. So what makes you special? Why do your clients hire you instead of, there's several elevator service companies in Louisville. So
Okay.
why do they hire you instead of your competitor?
I think one thing, like I say, is we're a smaller company. We can offer better communication than the larger companies that are out there. Just in the last year to 2 years, there's several small independents that sold out in the last year to 2 years. So I think me and only one other company are smaller independents. The rest of them are either owned by private equity or they're just a major elevator company. So what we can really do is offer customer service. So if you call and you need somebody, you can talk to somebody, and we work with our customers instead of telling them what they need to do. We work with them as opposed to kind of being just a vendor for them.
Right. Okay. What's something you wish more people knew, especially like property managers, that they knew about you in your business?
I think if a lot of them, they look at a smaller company and they think that they can't get the quality of service, we can give just as good a service as any of the companies out there. We've got guys anywhere from 20 years experience down to 5 years experience. So we've got the background, the expertise that we can really help out any property manager.
Okay. Tell us how you reached your clients. What kind of marketing are you doing to reach property managers and others that might need your services?
Early on, I tried a little bit of everything. I've done direct mailers, I've done email marketing. I've kind of covered the gamut, and we still do some of that. We do our own in-house email marketing. But the biggest thing in our industry, I think, has helped us is word of mouth. It takes longer that way, but I can't say there's any one marketing because our industry is just so specialized that
Right.
not everybody's looking for an elevator company, and word of mouth really helps. So, our goal is we do quality work and they'll recommend us to somebody else. That's kind of, the best way I explain our best marketing tool is us.
Okay. Good. Do you feel like your whole team does a good job of supporting the property managers and encouraging those referrals?
Yeah, especially in the last year, I had to make some changes. Year before last, I had a couple employees that were very experienced but weren't team players. And then once I kind of made the tough decisions to back away from them, the other team members stepped up, and it's just been a total game changer. And we've been on an upward trajectory ever since. You can't replace good culture and good people.
Right. Okay. What was the trigger that says I can start this business myself instead of working for somebody else? How'd you make that transition? What was that like?
It's probably about like anybody in the trades that went out on their own. Like I said, I started out with a larger company. I worked with them, and then I went to a smaller upstart company. I was just intrigued by it, and I guess that was my draw of entrepreneurship. I wanted to see what that was like, so I did that, and then I just felt like I could do this and maybe do it better. Of course, you get kicked down a little bit a few times over the years, but that's kind of where it started.
Okay. So what's been a memorable roadblock or hurdle that you had to overcome that challenged you, but you worked and overcame it?
Yeah, I think it could have stemmed from COVID, but like I think a year ago when I had to make a tough decision to let a couple people go, and they were in key positions, but I didn't realize how much they were hurting things more than helping. And that was a tough year, when you got to make those decisions, and you don't know if they're the right decisions, but that's probably the biggest one so far was making those decisions and then empowering the rest of the team to help us grow.
Right. So how did going through that, how did that impact you as a business owner?
It really made me kind of step back and look and let me know that I'm really not as good at running this business as I thought, and really kind of got into educating myself. And I've always kind of read books. I do a lot of audio books because I'm on the road a lot, but I really dove in to really start educating myself about business and trying to learn anything I could learn because, I came from the field. So I just felt like if we do a job and we have a little bit of markup on it and we get it done, everybody will be happy. But there's a little more to running a business, especially the bigger we got.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you describe your leadership style now?
I would like to think that I've enabled people to kind of step back and let people that can handle things handle them, the right people. I can't do it all myself. Like I said, I've got a really good team. And even this year, there's a lot more going on that I'm not involved in as much. So it's a little different because I don't have my arms around it, kind of like I did in the past. But I really trust my team that I currently have.
Okay. What are some things you do to attract new team members and then keep your solid team? What are you doing to, keep them around?
One thing I try to do from day one, I told myself I was going to do this, is offer really good benefits. One of them is I pay for the employees' health insurance 100%. It's good 80/20 insurance. That's part of it, good benefits. And then, I've kind of learned this along the way, but I'm really kind of teaching them, instead of holding them back, kind of help them grow into something more than they was, and I've been able to see that, especially with some younger guys that came on with me, like from ground zero and where they're at today. So I really look at myself as a facilitator and helping people reach their potential, at least in this trade, if that's what they choose to do.
Okay, that's great. You've mentioned culture a couple times, which is clearly really powerful. So how would you describe the culture at Elevator Solutions?
Everybody works together and everybody's working towards a common goal. There's nobody that thinks they're better than anybody else. And I see it, you know, guys communicating with each other. They all know that if it's to take care of the customer, go ahead and do it. We're not going to fall short on offering good service. They just know that we're going to do the right thing. And I think now that, we've got a little bit of a culture, I can see my team affecting new team members. It's not really me affecting them. They're guiding the new team members. This is how we do things. We do it this way. And that's why, I guess I mentioned culture so much because we didn't have it. And, everybody says, oh, it's a foo-foo stuff, culture. And I probably thought the same thing 2 years ago, but I've lived it. once you find it, you know how special it is.
Yeah. It's everything these days. I mean, it's how we keep teams. So congratulations for learning that and really instilling that in the company. That's awesome. Where do you see the business kind of in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you have a big goal you're trying to reach?
Well, I don't know. I know, like I say, over the last year and a half, my views have really changed. I went through a low period where I thought this ain't working. I'm going to do something different. You get, every business owner out there has been in that low. There's highs and lows. I was in the low and I stuck it out and seen the other side. I really kind of thought, well, if I could just serve the Kentucky area, Southern Indiana areas, now I think the possibility is limitless to move out into other areas and expand. I don't really think as small, but it takes time to get there. But I just feel like that's a possibility that I didn't really think of in the past, stretching out to more areas and just growing and getting bigger.
Okay, awesome. Love that. Well, we certainly covered a lot of ground here. So what I want to do now is ask some wrap-up questions, just kind of quick, first answer top of your head. So what is your number one key to success?
I think self-education as a business owner, keeping myself educated,
What
reading
are some things?
books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So reading books, what are the things you do to educate yourself?
Like I say, most of it's books, podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I say, I have a lot of travel time. So I listen to business podcasts. That's a good way to do it.
Okay, excellent. So what's your number one piece of advice for other business owners?
Don't give up and learn your numbers and learn your
Okay,
business.
I like that. So what's one book or audio book or podcast that you would recommend to other business owners that's been, an influence on you?
I've read several over the years, but most recently I read The E-Myth, which made me look at things a little bit different for the most recent book I've read.
Okay. What's your favorite business podcast?
It kind of changes around. I have been here lately. I've been listening to Profit First podcast, and I also read that book as well. So that's the most recent one I've been listening to a lot. Entree Leadership's a great one too. The Dave Ramsey Entree Leadership podcast.
Okay, awesome. So if I had a magic wand, and I don't, but if I
Hmm.
did, and I could wave it over one part of your business and improve it immediately, what would you want me to improve in your business?
That's a good one. I guess just to continue to grow.
So do you need more sales to grow or more team? Which comes first?
Um,
I know it's both.
yeah, I mean, I think more sales would probably be it, and we're working on that.
Okay, awesome. Great. So last question I've got for you today, Danny, before we wrap up. What inspires you the most these days?
I think, like I say, when I started out, I just was going to do a business and, maybe I was going to make a lot of money. But I think now, today, what I've kind of noticed is I'm really facilitating my team members to reach their potential. So that's where I kind of get satisfaction these days, is seeing some of the guys making good money and taking care of their family. And we helped them get to that point. And, we get a lot of good feedback.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's a great answer. I like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Danny Knott, president of Elevator Solutions, and he's shared a lot of gems with us, particularly around people and culture and learning. Make sure you bookmark this interview so that you can find us again and subscribe so you can get notices of future interviews after you've watched this one, and come back and watch it a couple times and make sure you really take the learnings that Danny shared with us. So Danny, thank you so much for your time today. It's been very enlightening and you've got some great tips for business owners.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much for watching the Business Spotlight series, and we'll see you again next time.